West foes, the LA Rams at 10-6, going on the road to take on the 12-4 Seattle Seahawks. Now, these two teams have already matched up twice this year. This is going to be the third matchup this season in the wild card of the playoffs. This game is going to be taking place Saturday with the 4:40 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. Seattle is a 4.5-point favorite. Now, if you're in the playoffs as a fan of both these two teams, the last team that you want to see is a team that you've already played twice this season, because they know you better than pretty much any other opponent in the NFL. Now, for the Rams, they defeated the Arizona Cardinals last week 18-7. Meanwhile, the Seattle Seahawks were able to clinch the division and win with the win over the 49ers 26-23. My biggest concern is going to be, how is the LA Rams backup John Wolford going to play in this game? Because he's expected to get the start once again, because Jared Goff, according to the couple of reports that I've read so far before I started making this video, he is a long shot to play in this game, nursing that thumb injury that he suffered a couple of weeks back. So it looks like Wolford's going to get another start once again for the second week in a row for the LA Rams. Last week against Arizona, I don't think he played bad. I think he played pretty good. He did what you expected out of a backup. Now, he started out pretty slow a little bit earlier in the game, but he started to pick things up. And what surprised me the most about John Wolford was his mobility. As a matter of fact, he led the LA Rams last week, in rushing yards with 6 carries for 56 yards, 9.3 yards per carry. Meanwhile, the LA Rams halfbacks, guys like Cam Akers and Malcolm Brown, combined for a total of 54 yards. They really struggled to find success running the ball on the ground with their halfbacks. So for John Wolford, I think that his mobility is going to be a big part of the Rams offense. Maybe we're going to start seeing a little bit more design quarterback runs. Maybe we see some zone reads thrown in there, because with Sean McVay being regarded as one of the best offensive minds in the NFL, he's able to get the best out of the current players that he has to work with. So the Rams offense, of course, is not going to be as good as it would be with Jared Goff at the helm, even though Jared Goff has been consistently inconsistent this year. But with John Wolford, you do have to kind of change your game plan, and you don't want to have to put too much on his plate, because last week he almost threw the ball 40 times. He was 22 of 38 passing. I think that you want to be way more balanced this week against Seattle than what you were last week against Arizona, because Seattle's defense has came on really strong. They have had one of the biggest mid-season turnarounds that I can recall for a defense in a very long time. Remember, at the start of the year, Seattle had one of the worst defenses, not only in the NFL, but in NFL history. They got off to a really bad start, but this defense has really hit a corner after week 10, week 11 of the year, especially with the addition of Carlos Dunlap. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what John Wolford is going to do in his second start for the LA Rams offensively. Now, for Sean McVay, you got to find a way to get this run game going, because, listen, at the end of the day, if John Wolford has to throw the ball 40 times to try to get your team to victory, I don't think there's a chance of winning this game if you're the Los Angeles Rams. So you have to be balanced offensively. My next question for the Rams is going to be, can this offense manage to score 20 points? Because we already know that the Rams have one of the best defenses in the NFL this year. They have a great defensive line led by Aaron Donald. Jalen Ramsey has played really good as well. That secondary has been really good. The whole entire team has been really good. So your defense is going to be good enough to keep you in the game. And when you look at when these two teams have faced off, Seattle's offense hasn't really looked all that great against the LA Rams this year. The first matchup, Russell Wilson had a big turnover game when he turned the ball over a handful of times, which the LA Rams were able to capitalize and get the victory. The second go around, the LA Rams lost. Seattle won 20-9, but Seattle's offense still didn't have that explosiveness that we've been seeing out of them all this year. So the LA Rams defense, without a doubt, they're going to come to play. They're going to keep the Los Angeles Rams in this game. It's just going to come down to, is this offense going to be able to score enough points to win this game? I think that 20 points is the magic number for both of these two teams. Whichever team is able to hit 20 points first, I think it's going to be the team that ends up winning this game. Now, for the Rams, They defend the Seattle Seahawks offense better than any other team in the NFL, because the key to defending Seattle's offense is to limit the big plays in the passing game. Seattle isn't all that great on third down. They're 20th in the NFL on third down conversion percentage. They convert on third down 40.21% of the time. But what makes Seattle's offense so good and what makes them tick is the big playability that they have with guys like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf down the field. So for the LA Rams, as long as you limit the big plays in the passing game, you don't allow Seattle to shred you downfield with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, you're going to be in pretty good shape. That shouldn't happen anyway, because Seattle's offensive line isn't all that great, even though it has been more improved than what it has been in years prior. When you look at how good the Rams front seven has been this year, they're going to have Russell Wilson running for his life. As a matter of fact, he was running for his life in the previous two matchups that they played in. So for the Rams, I have confidence in their defense to be able to hold down Seattle's offense. This defense probably is going to have to do a little bit more than that. Also, they're probably going to have to force a turnover or two to help this offense out, because with a backup at quarterback, you're going to have limitations there. Your offense isn't going to be as good as what it would be with Jared Goff. When Jared Goff is playing at his best and his defense is playing great, they don't really lose a lot of games. So with the limitations at quarterback, this defense is going to have to step up and make even more plays than what they've been doing all this year. And this defense has been playing lights out. They're number one in the NFL in points per game allowed, allowing 18.5 points per game. They're allowing 281.9 yards per game, which is also the least amount of yards in the NFL given up. They have the third best third down defense in the NFL, and they're second in the NFL with sacks per game, with 3 sacks averaged per matchup. So for the Rams, if they're able to force a turnover to help this offense out, get this offense in good field position, I think that's also going to help them out as well when it comes to getting a victory. The defense is going to have to step up way more than what they have been doing this past season. And like I said, I'm not saying that to take anything away from the Rams defense. With the current situation that they have at quarterback, they're going to need all the help that they can get offensively. Now, Seattle's offense could gas the Rams defense if Seattle's offense is able to give John Wolford and company some problems, because John Wolford still is a backup. So if you send a lot of awkward blitzes that he may not be able to diagnose and isn't able to see, and you see how Jamal Adams has performed this year for Seattle, he's been, in my opinion, the best safety in the NFL. Seattle uses him majority of the time, blitzing him off the edge. As a matter of fact, I think that he has the most sacks for a safety in NFL history. Don't know if that's true or not, but I think that is. Don't quote me on that. But with Seattle, they're going to put heavy emphasis on trying to stop the run game. So for the Rams, your offense is going to have to find some ways to get some sparks on offense, because without Jared Goff there, your offense is kind of going to struggle with the limitations at quarterback. So you're going to have to find different ways to move the ball down the field, rather that screen plays, some trick plays. Maybe you try to throw a flea flicker in there to catch the defense off guard. But if the Rams struggle on offense and they're not able to sustain drives, that's not going to help out their defense, because your defense can only do so much, to the point that when they're coming back on the field after the offense goes 3 and out after 30 seconds and they're right back on the field, they're going to end up getting fatigued, they're going to end up getting tired, and they're going to end up getting gas. So if the Rams offense isn't able to sustain drives and isn't able to move the ball down the field on Seattle's defense, that's going to help out Seattle's offense, because then they're going to be able to take advantage of a tired out and worn down defense, and they're going to be able to put some points up on the board. Also, in Seattle's last matchup, they had a pretty good amount of success running the ball with Chris Carson. He was their leading rusher the last time these two teams matched up. He had 16 carries for 69 rushing yards, which averaging 4.3 yards per attempt. So if they can get Carlos Hyde going and get that run game going, and they can have a balanced attack offensively, that's going to help out that offense as well, because it's going to kind of neutralize those pass rushers. They're not just going to be able to pin their ears back and just play to stop the pass. So the team I'm going to take to win this game, I'm going to take Seattle. The reason why I'm taking Seattle is because although the Rams have a really good defense and Sean McVay is a really good play caller, I just think that the Rams offense is going to stall out in this game. I don't think they're going to be able to have success scoring on Seattle's defense. I think that this offense is probably going to have a couple of turnovers. with John Wolford at quarterback. And I just don't have a lot of confidence in John Wolford, man. Like, I know he had a pretty solid showing in that Arizona game, but at the end of the day, this is playoff football. I think Seattle should be able to go ahead and pull off the victory here. They are a 4.5 point